name is Sarah, and this is Abby. I pivoted from a career as a business owner and scuba instructor to live on a sailboat and explore diving from my floating home. On this channel, you'll get scuba lessons, dive site explorations, boat repairs, and sailing adventures. Connect with the community and dive with me on one of my upcoming expeditions. Welcome to Azul Unlimited. I'm here at DEMA 2025 in the DAN booth, Divers Alert Network, and this is Brian. Will you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Brian Harper. I'm Director of Communications at DAN. Started out as a medic, worked at Alert Diver Magazine for a bit, and now in a communications role.
Very cool. And I've been working closely with this guy. If you've been watching my videos for a while, we're keeping people out of the space here.
Yeah.
If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I've been closely linked to Dan. They've been super helpful, and I have always wanted to make kind of a dive insurance for dummies video because
Fantastic.
I am not good with insurance in the United States.
We appreciate that, Sarah, because it's never easy explaining membership and insurance programs. There's a lot of details, and we want people to understand what we have available. So thank you for making this video.
Yeah, so we're going for clarity. Will you give like a super high level introduction to
Yes.
a lot of people know what Dan does, but just super high level.
Yes. Okay, so DAN is a mission organization dedicated to keeping divers safe. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we exist to take emergency calls from injured divers and physicians and other medical professionals that are taking care of them. In addition to that medical hotline, we do research in dive safety, and we have safety programs for the industry to help communicate safety messages and keep divers safe, and of course courses. So we teach first aid courses as well.
And there's also
Safety products.
There's a ton of stuff that Dan is doing to keep us safe as divers, and I think that's the most important thing because it's a very specialized sport that requires special medicine.
Yes, indeed.
Cool. One thing I wanted to clarify, our first clarifying question, we're going to be talking about Dan America.
That's right. So DAN is based in Durham, North Carolina, and there are international DANs, partner organizations. So there's DAN Europe, there is DAN World, which covers the Asia Pacific region as well as the Latin America, Caribbean region, and Canada. And there is also DAN Japan and DAN Southern Africa.
And so again, this is Dan America that we're going to be covering in this video.
Right.
So there are other options, other things like I was talking to somebody else about short-term insurance.
Right.
That isn't available in Dan America.
So whereas like DAN World might offer short-term programs in certain markets, anything Sarah and I and Sarah and the rest of our team talk about today will be for United States residents.
And because we're U.S. residents, we always go through Dan America, right?
That is right.
If we're living in other places.
Good point. Being a membership organization is based on their permanent residence. So Americans who are members of DAN, their benefits of membership and dive accident insurance go with them. So the coverage is valid worldwide.
Cool. Everywhere that
the U.S. has diplomatic relations.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that with someone else. We'll talk about the exclusions there. We did it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Next up, my channel is very comfortable, conversational.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
great.
it's chill. So I'm going to have this here as my cheat sheet. So now we've magically gotten a new person from Dan here, another expert. Will you introduce yourself and tell us your role at Dan?
Yes, my name is Angela Williams, and I am the Director of Membership and Personal Insurance.
Excellent. So you are going to help us understand the many options that we have. So we're going to start with membership specifically.
So with membership, there are two levels of membership that you can purchase, which is regular and enhanced. But there's two types of memberships within those that you can offer, which is individual for an individual person, and then there's family membership as well. And that can be for the spouse, partner, and then their dependent children.
Okay. And then from there, if you have a family membership, then you can purchase dive accident insurance for each
individual person.
Okay. Cool.
cool. That the web is coming together.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Under regular membership, that coverage will give you a benefit of $150,000 to go towards any of your emergency evacuation, repatriation, travel assistance needs. Everything that deals with membership is dealing with transportation only.
Okay, so that's completely separate from diving insurance.
From your dive accident insurance,
Okay.
yes. And so with the enhanced membership, which is the top tier level plan, that's going to give you $500,000 to go towards that benefit of your travel assist needs. So, like once again, emergency medical, transportation, your repatriation needs for transportation is under just your membership itself.
Okay.
And that transportation is available to you when you travel at least 50 miles from home and when you suffer either a diving or a non-diving medical emergency.
Okay, wrapped up in the membership. And then
Yes.
on top of that, you need to be a member to purchase
The
dive
dive accident
insurance.
plan. So membership alone does not cover any dive medical accidents or injuries.
Okay.
So you do have to add that on top of your membership plan. And once again, these plans are an annual coverage for you.
Right.
So there are 3 tiers that go to your dive accident insurance. You have the master plan, preferred plan, and then the guardian plan.
Yeah.
So master plan will give you a coverage up to $125,000, and this is for your medical coverage, say for like cuts, bites, scrapes, stings, ear trauma, DC high, hyperbaric chamber coverage. That falls under your dive accident insurance.
Okay.
So once again, master plan, $125,000, and that is a lifetime benefit that's available to you. So say for example, you have a situation where you got a claim for $20,000.
Yeah.
So you use that $20,000 outside of that claim.
Yeah.
So you only have $105,000 left
Okay.
to go towards your claim on a master plan for a lifetime.
For a lifetime.
For a lifetime.
Okay.
So say for example, the next tiers are preferred and guardian. Those are per occurrence. So say the preferred plan gives you $250,000 per occurrence to go towards your dive medical.
Okay.
So each occurrence that you have that $250,000 to go towards it.
Gotcha. Okay. So, clarifying question.
Sure.
If I sign up for Master, which is the lower one,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Because I'm a poor diver, and then I have an accident, and I'm like, oh man, I don't have enough coverage now. Can I then up to the next one?
You can upgrade, but the
Okay.
thing that you have to look at, depending on when you actually upgrade and when you had that accident. So if you had that accident under that master plan and you hadn't upgraded at the time, it's still going to fall within that master plan. But if you just decide, I'm getting ready to go on this big dive trip, I want to make sure I got a little bit more coverage, you can always upgrade during your
Okay.
policy, and that price plan will prorate for you from what you've already paid to the end of your policy
Okay,
year.
so you can't retroactively be
No,
like,
you
oh,
can't
just kidding, I want the
Yeah, I had the
extra stuff,
accident,
like,
and then I'm like, now I want to get it, but that was not going to cover
That's
it.
not gonna cover
It's still
it,
going to
okay.
fall under what you had before.
That makes
So-
sense. I mean, that's fair. Let's be honest. That's fair.
And then the higher tier plan is the Guardian plan. It's $500,000 benefit limit. Also with that, I would say for the preferred and the Guardian, you do also have non-dive accident coverage when you travel abroad. So when you travel abroad, you
Get in a
fall hurt
motorcycle
your bike,
accident.
you're traveling through Italy, you fall off the cliff, any type of accident,
Yeah.
you have that available to
Is
you.
it the same amount, like that same?
No. So,
Okay.
say for example, Guardian Plan will give you $30,000 to go towards any non-diving accidents.
Okay, so you have a big chunk of money for dive accident plan because that's what
Exactly.
it's designed for, but you have a
Exactly.
smaller chunk to go
For the other benefits that are
kinds.
available, and then water sports are also available on the higher tier plan
Okay.
with the Guardian. So it's good to go to our website on www.dan.org. Just look under membership and dive accident. That way you can get the full scope and comparisons of the benefits that are offered.
Right. Well, hello. Editing Sarah here. I just want to clarify. Covered dive accidents in these insurance plans include accidents that happen when you're diving within your certification limits. That is probably clear, but I just want to specifically mention technical diving and cave diving are included as well. So if you have those certifications and you're doing that type of diving, that will be in the bundle of covered dive accidents. Who's here? I'm editing and managing boat projects at the same time, so welcome. Okay, that's it. Okay, bye. And so, because a lot of us are not good at understanding lingo and everything,
Yes.
we talked earlier about exclusions and things that are commonly, like common misconceptions about coverage. Can you kind of talk about what comes up often?
Most, some of the common things that do pull up for us is competitions. People wanted to do record-breaking dive attempts. Those things are excluded from our policy. And
Is
then,
free diving within your training? Like, is that covered?
That's covered. Yeah.
Okay.
Free diving, snorkeling is available to you as well. Because sometimes we have family members that they don't dive, but they snorkel. So snorkel is a benefit that's under the dive accident insurance.
Okay, and is that in that big chunk of money?
The same in that big chunk of money. So
free diving and...
Correct.
What about gear? So say you're in an accident and something happens to your gear, what's covered?
So under your membership, you have a benefit that is for lost diving equipment coverage. Lost diving equipment coverage is for your essential dive gear when you're in a covered diving accident. So that could be your regulator, your BCD. Say, for example, you lost it during that accident or it was unintentionally lost. And then, of course, during that rescue, say if it got cut off your body for the rescue, that's what is available to you under the membership. But sometimes we get members that may call in to ask what if it was lost or stolen? That is not a benefit that falls under your membership.
Okay. What about for travel? Because sometimes, we're traveling far places to tiny airports and things get lost.
So lost, damaged, or stolen.
Yeah.
Your baggage or your sporting equipment is a benefit that's under the travel insurance that's available to you.
All right.
So depending on the plans that you look at and choose, they have separate benefit limits to go towards if that should happen.
Okay, so now we're moving into travel insurance, right?
Yes.
We've already talked membership, dive insurance. Travel insurance is a separate thing.
Yes.
Which is something I actually require of my dive trip attendees. They have to get both dive insurance and travel insurance, and I have to explain to them what the difference is. So what is the difference?
So say for your membership and your dive accident insurance, there is a benefit that is on the preferred and the guardian plan, which is the diving vacation cancellation and interruption, and that is only just for a specified dive trip. So say you or your traveling companion get sick or injured, then you have that benefit available for you to use to go towards that cancellation or interruption to that benefit limit.
Okay.
Now for travel insurance, a little bit different. You have more benefits on there that can go towards those things that dive accident may not cover. Say, for example, if there's a sickness, injury, or death in your family, that's a benefit that's on travel insurance. If there's like inclement weather, that's a benefit that falls under travel insurance. Or if there's a sickness is not covered under treatments, mostly accidents on the membership and dive accident.
So like say if you get COVID sick or whatever,
it's not going to cover it. And COVID is a piece that follows under our travel policies as well.
Oh, it does?
Yes,
So
it does. It's a benefit.
Okay.
If you have to be called summons to court, those other types of things.
Does that happen?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Some people get subpoenaed for court.
Yeah.
And or they are in active duty. They get called to duty.
Oh wow.
Is one of the benefit that falls in with cancellations and interruptions on there. So those are things that are covered. And once again, the lost, stolen, or damaged sporting equipment or your baggage delay is something you want to still get outside of your dive accident insurance because that's not going to cover it for you.
And then if something were to happen and you don't get to finish a trip or whatever, I've had clients have the portion of the trip that they did not get covered. Interrupted, yes.
So if their trip was to get interrupted, that will help go towards those costs that they would have to use for extra ticket coverage.
Exactly.
Or those things where they had to be accommodated extra because they missed their flight due to that they were sick or injured in that location and they had the travel delay.
Yeah.
So that will fall under travel insurance itself.
Okay. Okay. And speaking of hotels, with medical stuff, a lot of times you don't need to be hospitalized, but you can't leave, right? Like, is the hotel going to be covered For
That's the extra accommodations.
extra accommodation, would that would be travel or medical?
But well, it's going to fall under both because you have under your membership you have extra accommodations if something should happen if you get sick. You have that benefit also available on the travel policies as well.
Okay, and would that be Dan kind of flag how much you can spend on that? Like what hotels would be covered versus like if say I'm real fancy and I like to stay in nice places, would Dan cover a nice place for me to stay while I'm stuck somewhere?
That limit that you have, and if it falls within that benefit limit, you can use that cost. Now that expensive hotel, maybe may take your chunk of money that you can use.
Maybe not the best choice.
Right, may not be the best choice, but you have that benefit limit. There's no selection of which type of hotel you need to choose.
Okay. It's
as
just
long as you fall within those limits of the daily limits that they may have for you on the benefit limits for that accommodation.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool, nice. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
We're getting the next person.
All right.
Let's get him mic'd up. All right, so now I'm here with Matias. I would love you to introduce yourself and tell us about your role here at Dan.
I'm the VP for Medical Services. I run the medical department. That means the hotline is a privilege, an honor, and a big responsibility.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, now we've got the layout of what is offered by Dan. Now I want to know how I use it because I don't understand anything. That's what we're aiming at. Like I don't understand anything. Something happens. When should I call Dan?
Okay, so the best way I can describe what we do or what we can offer at the hotline is imagine a poison control center. So we get calls from lay people when they're having symptoms, when they think they may be bent, when they're on a dive trip, and we also get calls from healthcare professionals when they're evaluating someone that has symptoms following a dive. Fortunately, even until these days, you don't learn diving medicine in med school. So most doctors don't have a good understanding of diving physics, physiology, and diving injuries. So we can help them make the best decisions for you.
Okay.
So anytime when you're on a dive vacation, if you've been diving and you have symptoms and you're concerned whether this could be decompression sickness, we've been doing this for 45 years now. We think we have a good understanding of how things present.
Yeah.
So with a few questions, we will probably have a good idea on what might be going on. We're not going to be able to diagnose over the phone.
Obviously.
But have a good idea on what may be going on, steer you in the right direction, depending on where you are. We know what resources are there for you.
Right.
And one thing you can always and almost always expect is because we cannot practice medicine over the phone, we cannot do telemedicine, it's impractical, it's operationally very limited. We will likely have you be seen by any doctor wherever you are, even though they may know nothing about diving medicine. They are doctors, they can assess you, they can be our hands, our eyes, and we can give them recommendations on what we think is best for you.
I'm very much a millennial, as in I am terrified of going to the doctor, right? I usually just always plan my doctor's appointments in other countries because like I don't understand anything. If I'm on a dive trip and something small happens, like should I contact Dan? Like should I try to get covered for that?
Well, coverage is not something that I particularly manage.
Right.
But if you think that we can be of any assistance, by all means call us. And anybody can call us. It doesn't matter if you're a member or not.
Okay,
What
cool.
we do on the hotline is a humanitarian service.
Yeah.
We've been doing this forever. We want to continue doing it, members and non-members. So if you think we can be of any help, don't hesitate. If we can't, we'll let you know. Because,
Right.
Sometimes expectation versus reality, there's a gap. But by all means, don't hesitate. 24/7, there
Very
for you.
cool. I think that's something that people probably don't realize is
Yes.
available.
Yes.
So like even if you're like something is weird, like my doctor can't quite figure out like this thing, and I went diving. Like, what do you guys have any clues or something I could
Okay,
research?
so that's two different things. If you have symptoms,
Yeah.
then you can call us 24/7. If you have just a question about diving physics, physiology, fitness to dive, we can handle those in a non-emergency line. We have two lines.
Okay.
The medical emergency line, 24/7.
Okay.
And you can probably put the number.
I'll put the number right here.
Yeah. And then the medical information line, we host that Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern Time.
Okay.
Or you can send us an email, and we can answer you,
Very
not in real
cool.
time.
Okay, so we got an idea of what you guys can help us with, but like, let's say I'm in an emergency. Like, what should my first call be to your hotline?
Great question. So we don't replace 911 or the local EMS.
Okay.
Eventually, we support them.
Yeah.
So if you think that you're in a life-threatening emergency and you're calling us, you're calling the wrong number. You need to call 911 or the local EMS wherever you are.
Right.
Once you have done that, give us a call. We can support you. We can even support EMS with first aids. Again, direction to best level of care for what may be going on. But always rely on local EMS. We can dispatch ambulances. We can dispatch helicopters to rescue you. That's not what we do.
Again, we're in this accident. What steps need to be taken? Like, what information does Dan need in order to give support?
Okay, so I would say that each case is its own universe in a sense that depending on what may be going on, what type of concern you may have, we may ask you different questions. For the classic, let's say that you're trying to determine if you have decompression sickness, one thing we always want to know is your recent dive history. So not only when was the last dive, but how deep, how significant, how provocative was this last dive. And not just the last dive or the last day of diving, but perhaps having a better idea on that last dive series. So usually people don't dive just one day or one dive.
Yeah.
They dive 1 week, and we tend to dive in 1 week where we didn't dive in the whole year.
Yeah.
So that gives us a fairly good idea on what the exposure was. Then based on the exposure, because this is a disease that is, exposure based. So the more diving, the more aggressive diving, the higher the risk tends to be. Unfortunately, in diving medicine, we don't have any diagnostic procedures. It's not like we can draw some blood or do some images and say, aha, you're bent and here is why. It's a clinical diagnosis. And the exposure, that is key. And then finding the signs, the symptoms, and seeing if this could be compatible with decompression sickness, the time to symptom onset. So we're going to ask you a fairly good number of questions. Usually that first interview would last no more than maybe 10-15 minutes, sometimes more, but within 10-15 minutes we should have a good idea on, well, we think we know what is going on, or this is way too vague, let's not waste time, send you somewhere. Again, the same way, some things, they seem to be fairly benign and there may be no rush to freak out, and in some instances we say, with what I have now, it's enough to say, let's not waste time.
Yeah.
Get yourself to the closest medical facility, be evaluated. Once you're there, if the doctors feel we can be of any assistance, have them call us back.
Okay.
And if we want to make sure that you really follow recommendations, we will ask you, so how far away are you from this facility? 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes plus, let's say, another 30 minutes for evaluation. Call us back once you're evaluated. If we don't hear from you, we will call you back.
Okay. I kind of think of, at least when I teach other dive masters, instructors, people that are working with clients, that the information that will be most pertinent for you guys is what gas you're breathing and your dive computer. So you have all of the information. Is that not accurate?
Yeah, the dive computer is not something, or your profile, it's not something that is super, super relevant.
Really?
We, like I said before, we want to have a good idea on what your exposure was. How many dives in that last series, how deep were the last dives,
But like
for
you
how
have
long.
the data for those things,
Right, but it's not like we need to see that. Because
Gotcha.
eventually we treat your symptoms, not your profile.
Gotcha.
We've seen that some people have very aggressive profiles and they have very benign manifestations.
Okay.
And on the other end, sometimes you have someone that you wouldn't suspect they have a horrible case with a benign profile and the manifestations are rather dramatic.
Right.
So we tend to focus much more on what is objectively going on rather than the profile itself.
Okay.
In general, the profiles for us, they're helpful in the extremes.
Gotcha.
On the very shallow dives, it helps us to rule out decompression sickness. Even though the signs and symptoms can be compatible with decompression sickness, the exposure is just so insignificant, it doesn't make any sense to try to connect them together.
Right.
On the other end of the spectrum, when the exposure is very significant, we should not rule out decompression sickness,
Right.
even though the symptoms may not be what we expect. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah. No, it totally
So,
makes sense.
when you have a significant exposure and symptoms that don't make quite sense, we shouldn't rule out decompression sickness,
Right.
even though they may not make sense.
Yeah.
Because there could be a cause-effect relationship between these two. So again, everything in between, yes, I can live with it. The extremes are helpful to rule out or to still consider decompression sickness despite symptoms not being that, typical.
Yeah. I've been in lectures where and maybe this is just specific to kind of more liability stuff, where it's been it's been noted that maybe somebody didn't track or they didn't grab the information from a dive computer and somebody had an accident, they died or whatever, that would be more for liability.
I can see that, when you have a legal case to try to find absolutes.
Yeah.
But in medicine, there are two
It's
numbers
not-
we never use.
Gotcha.
0 and 100.
Okay.
Everything is a shade of gray.
Right.
So,
Okay.
if you bring us, if you give us the specifics of the dive, that's great. We're going to take note. But we're not going to be saying, did you say 26 meters or 28? It doesn't really change anything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, getting it mixed up with liability stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
When someone has symptoms in a remote location, you show up at that emergency room, you are their patient, not ours.
Right.
And there's a limited number of things we can do to change their mind.
Right.
Eventually, we want to have a good relationship with them. We want to be able to influence their decisions if we think the decisions may not be in your best interest. But we cannot tell them, shut up, move aside, this is what you should do, right?
They're ultimately my doctor in that accident.
You are their patient. We are there to support them, make the best decisions for you.
Cool.
Right? That's important because, medical practice is regulated by state in the U.S., by country in many places, and we don't have jurisdiction in other countries, in other states. We don't do telemedicine. We are there to help them make the best decision for you.
Cool. That's it. That's what I have for you.
All right.
So thank you so much for your expertise
Of course.
and all of this. I think it helps kind of clarify and actually gave me some information about resources that are available.
Excellent.
So
Happy to help.
I will take that. You're up. We're going to talk about all the fun things of claims and
assistance. The fun insurance part, right?
yeah, everybody loves this part. You're the favorite. So now we've magically brought in another professional here. This is Camilo. Will you introduce yourself and your role here at Dan?
Sure. I'm the Dan Vice President for Claims and Assistance Services. We have brought claims in-house for Dan. So we're processing all our claims at Dan now, and we are growing our assistance part in parallel with our providers, our third-party providers, to have a more hands-on and more personalized assistance for our members. So it's something that we're enhancing right now too.
Awesome.
I think it's good, and it's being rewarding to see the response we're getting from members and how we're getting better attention for them and fulfilling our mission, right? We're here to serve our members, serve the diving market the best way we can, and I think we're doing a great job on that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always expanding and evolving. We've talked with all the people, we're kind of breaking down insurance and then, the medical stuff, and now we're talking about, actually having our services covered when we have these accidents. So how should we communicate with hospitals and people that are providing these services to us so that Dan is actually covering those services?
Yes. So, Sarah, if you allow me to do a quick parenthesis here, right?
Yeah.
So some people think of Dan as insurance, and we're not an insurance company. We're an association of divers to help divers, right?
Okay.
So we continue to be a non-profit company.
Right.
And one of the many products that we sell, we have beautiful hats like yours, and we have insurances like any other product. We sell these products to keep our lights on and to help the divers. So from the beginning, when we started in 1980, we were helping the divers, we were taking them to treatment, and they were getting out of treatment with a $60,000, $70,000 bill to pay, right? So it was bad for them. Then came the insurance to help on this, right? So different from any insurance company. They are looking, or the claims departments of insurance companies are usually looking for ways not to pay claims, right? They're looking for the fine print just to deny the claim.
Yeah.
We do the exact opposite. We do the diametrically opposite, and we look for loopholes in our own policies to be able to pay the claims and help the divers.
Cool.
So this is, I think, it's the core information. You ask about hospitals, right? When we get to the hospital, how we inform that? Most of the times we inform to the hospitals. I'm a DAN member. I have my DAN card with me, and the hospitals sometimes don't know who we are.
Yeah.
Right? We're not a big insurance company. We're not a big healthcare insurance like we have in the market, the big ones, right? So the hospitals sometimes, and most of the times, they don't know us. You can initiate a service in a hospital, and you should, if it's an emergency, you should go ahead and initiate the service. But be aware that we have coverage issues with that, and one of them is for hyperbaric chambers. So hyperbaric chambers, anything that is outside of the realm of the ER, the emergency room services, right? We should get authorization first. We should get then involved as soon as possible to authorize. Of course, life-saving procedures, things that are going to happen in the ER, you don't need any type of authorization beforehand. But the two risks with that are one, coverage, and the other one, the hospital charging you for that. So most of us, when we show up to a hospital, they make us sign something saying that we're responsible for paying that in case we don't have insurance, or the insurance would not cover the procedures. Right? So it's always good to involve us as soon as you can. Not just because of that, because of coverage, and we, as I said, we will end up covering. We will end up not leaving you in a bad financial situation as a diver.
So as a diver, I'm in an accident. I show them my DAN card. Does that do anything, or do we call the emergency? You know, we're talking to the emergency number, and that's how we get our coverage. You know, like how does that work? Like logistically, as myself, an individual standing looking at somebody who doesn't speak my language. You know, what do I show them?
So, ideally, at this point, you already got in contact with Dan. What we normally recommend to people is, first of all, EMS, local EMS, right? For us here in the US, 911. And then after activating EMS, contacting us in the medical department, as I said, 24/7, 365. So we'll be in the case from the beginning, and we'll be liaising with the EMS, we'll be liaising with the ER staff or whoever is there, and helping on this side. If you are there and you're showing the card, and they're saying, no, I don't know who Dan is, I don't want to know, I cannot take it, and you don't have the funds, and usually we don't have the funds, or we don't have limit in our credit cards to put a $50,000 deposit for the hospital, right? One thing that you can do is put them in contact with us. The medical department will transfer this call to the claims department, and we have people after hours to take this call and talk to the administrative people from the hospital, and work in what we call a GOP. So it's a guarantee of payment. It's a IOU document that we're going to send to the hospital. It's an official letter from Dan confirming that this person is a member, this person is covered up to a certain limit, and that the hospital can treat this person and will be responsible for the bill. So it's another way that we do. Sometimes we even have to advance funds to the hospital if it's a hyperbaric treatment, a very expensive treatment, and the hospital, some places, the hyperbaric chambers, they need funds up front so they can pay their it's serious, the staff, the gas that they are going to use. So it's something that requires some preparation on their side, and sometimes they even ask us for upfront payment. But most of the cases we work through GOPs, guarantees of payment. So we guarantee them that we're going to pay, and they do whatever needs to be done, and then they send us the bill. Right? So the member will not have to put anything out of pocket at that moment. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. It all depends. It's all over the world, right? We have very different health systems everywhere, and sometimes they ask for the person to pay.
Okay.
If they do, don't worry. We'll then advise you as a diver, as an injured person, how to do the whole process to get reimbursed later, to
Okay.
file the claim and get reimbursed later.
So that is possible.
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. And most common small medical visits or something that is just going there to see your ear and not a hyperbaric treatment, a multi-$1,000 hyperbaric treatment. No, it's just a consultation to look at your ear and give you some ear drops.
Yeah.
You can file and claim later, no problem at all.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I've had insurance with you guys forever, and I've literally never filed a claim. I've never done it. So how do you go about doing that retroactively?
So what we do is, it's not, we have to take care with the retroactively word, because I think you discussed this earlier today with Angela, right? So
Yeah.
we cannot do anything retroactively, so you have to do enroll for your insurance before you go diving, or before.
yeah.
When we mention retroactively, people think about that, right?
No, you have to have insurance.
Yeah, before.
Yeah.
I cannot crash my car and go knock on
Yeah.
the insurance company and say, "Oh, can you pay for my car
No,
accident?"
but let's
No,
say.
but I understand what you're saying. It's reimbursement for what you already paid.
Yeah.
So it's a very easy process. We have a very nice claims department with people to take your call. And you can email or do an online form or call us, no matter what. And we'll give you all the information on the documentation needed for you to file the claim.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
we're gonna guide you through all the process.
Yeah.
We have especially trained people to do that.
Yeah.
So it's a very easy process to do. Usually we have this process with our underwriters and paid back to the diver very quickly.
Nice.
We depending on the underwriter, depending on the type of claim, the amount of claim, and all of this, it takes some time, but usually it's very fast.
Cool.
One important thing is, it's always important when we're doing this out-of-pocket expenses, right? To keep all the receipts, to keep all the medical reports, because you're gonna need that to file.
Right.
Sometimes if it's related to a travel problem, it's better to keep your plane tickets, your itinerary, travel itinerary, and your diving receipts. If you are in a dive trip of some kind, or in a liveaboard, you're giving the
Need a paper
receipts.
trail,
The
basically.
paper trail, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's a very, and as I said right at the beginning, it's a in-house process. So all of us knowing very well about the particularities of diving and what diving can entail in a claims process, and really looking in a best possible way to refund this diver and make them whole on the financial side.
Cool. I've gotten a lot out of this so far. Oh, we have the fun stuff to talk about now.
Uh-huh.
Accident logistics.
Yes,
We
this
discussed
is a,
the
this is
whole
a great
imagery
thing.
of like a helicopter flying in and grabbing the diver out and saving them, and we want to talk about what is actually covered in
Yeah.
dive accident, like the logistics of this stuff.
I was mentioning these days here at GIMA, I was joking with some people saying that we're gonna start sending a starter kit for a teleporting pod.
Teleportation.
Yeah, teleportation pod with the membership cards.
Yeah. Man, that would be really
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
honestly.
But until we have this technology, we cannot take people from very difficult places to take, right? So thinking about the assistance part that I mentioned, we're doing more in-house now. We're doing alongside our providers, our third-party providers. There are leading world market travel assistance providers. We have an internal office at DAN. It's recent, it's something new. And this internal office is doing the hold handing with the diver the whole time and helping in this process, the logistic process to take injured diver from point A to point B, right? But one thing that is important for us to clarify is that we don't have any type of rescue operation. When we think about medical evacuations and medical rescue, we're talking about a point where EMS can reach this person. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, in a very remote area, very likely will not be capable of taking you out of there.
In a remote place, you have to think about your emergency action plan. Like, what are you going to do based on where you're going to be?
Yes, this is the great point, right? I used to say, mainly in the medical department, I worked in the medical department for many years. If I had to choose two things, just these two things to change and really save lives in diving, I would choose fitness to dive. So you have to be very aware that your fitness is okay for the type of dive you're intending to do.
Yeah.
This is an important thing too. I may be healthy enough and fit enough to do a very warm shore dive, but if I'm planning a cave or ice diving, I maybe have different fitness requirements for it, right? So one is this, and the second one is for sure having your emergency action plan ready for a specific time of the year, for a specific dive site, for a specific diving group that you're taking there as a dive professional maybe. So this is very important. In this emergency action plan, it has to contemplate the way for you to take the injured diver back to the closest possible point where EMS can reach this person. So we don't have helicopters, we don't have the teleportation pod that I joked about to take someone from a very remote area. So you have to get to a point where we can help you, and then from this first point of medical assistance or emergency services assistance, we can help the whole way until you get home.
So clarifying question, is that just wherever EMS can reach you? So say that you need to take like an ambulance. Mm-hmm. Will the ambulance from wherever they can grab you to the hospital be covered under the insurance?
Sure.
Okay.
If the ambulance can get to you, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. That's why we have this differentiation, right? So we don't have a helicopter, we don't have
there's no damn planes.
A scarab like we had in Baywatch. Bring the scarab to pick up someone. No, we don't do that. This is something that the Coast Guard does, or in many places of the world, or specialized rescue operations to get you from very remote areas. We don't have this type of service. We never did, and no one. It's mostly public services that do that, right? So, but from the moment you are under care of a medical professional, we can help you there. And most of what we do, which is another myth that we have, right? Oh, whatever happens to me, I'm going to be flown out back to my home. Not necessarily. What we're going to prioritize is to take you to the highest needed medical care. So it may be close to your home, or it may be the closest available facility for your medical needs.
Okay.
So it's essentially to be moved from a very simple hospital or a local clinic to a higher level of care hospital where you can have an MRI, you can have a CAT scan, you can sometimes even have a surgery. So this is the type of emergency medical evacuations that we operate.
Okay, so you would be covered, basically, you arrive at a hospital that doesn't have a hyperbaric chamber, you need treatment, you would get transported to another one. That would be, that transportation's included, but it doesn't mean that the insurance is going to cover you flying home after you're all okay.
We can. Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's depending on the level of insurance you have, we can cover that too.
So
but it will be after treatment, right? So it's something that you were already recovered. We can rearrange your flights because you did your high compression, your hyperbaric treatment, your recompression chamber treatment. you have to wait 3 days to fly.
Yeah, of course.
So after these 3 days, you lost your original flight
Yeah.
ticket. So we're going to arrange for you to go back home for sure.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying
Based
is
on the plan that you
based
have.
on the plan, exactly.
Okay.
What I'm saying is we're not necessarily say, oh yeah, you need a hyperbaric chamber, but I'm not taking you to this closest one. I'm taking you to the closest to your house. No, it's even for times in the treatment, it's better to take you to the closest one,
Absolutely.
right? You need to
Yeah.
have the appropriate treatment as fast as you can.
Yeah.
So this is something that we'll do. Of course, we'll help you get home
Okay.
after you've recovered.
Okay.
And even if you are not recovered, unfortunately, we had cases before of people that had very serious accidents and they couldn't move, they couldn't get home in a commercial air flight. We arrange everything for this person to get home.
Yeah.
But the emergency evacuation is that one that happens between the first point of assistance, medical assistance, to the needed care, emergency care
Yeah.
for that person.
So like
for
you were
that
saying,
specific case.
understanding that emergency action plan for what you're doing is really important because there's a portion, there could be a portion of what you're doing that you're kind of, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Or like if you're doing it with a dive operator, they would have that in place of like, this is our SOP for when this accident happens.
We hope for it.
We hope for it, right?
And we always advise this to divers, right?
Yeah.
Check with your dive operator. Check with the company you're buying your plan. What are their emergency action
Yeah.
plans? And they have to share it with you. You have to do your own homework and do your personal emergency action plan. They're different.
Yeah.
They should be aligned, but they are different.
Yeah.
Right? In yours, you should consider, for instance, losing passport, losing medication,
Yeah.
all these things that in their plan will not be contemplated, but in yours will.
Right.
But what is related to a diving accident or an accident during the dive trip, both plans should align.
Yeah.
And they have the local knowledge. Of course, you can Google, and both you and the dive operator can contact us and we'll do our best to help you put this plan in place.
Cool.
So sometimes we even check dive operators that have a plan already set. They can send this plan to us for us to take a look, review, and give our opinion and say, oh, you know what, we have a safety department at DAN that would gladly do that and analyze providers, dive operators' emergency action plans to make sure that they are aligned with what we have in the area, the types of services, the hospitals available, the chambers. We have probably the largest and most updated database of chambers in the world.
Love
We
that.
have 1,400 chambers, active chambers in our database. So if I show you the map, we have it as on a global map. It's so nice. It's full of
Is that
chambers.
on the website?
No, this is
No?
for internal use.
Okay.
And people often ask us why when we open this to the general public,
Yeah.
right? The thing is, we have to make sure in every case that we get, the medical department will liaise with the closest chambers to see if they are available and if they are capable of treating. So we have a proprietary classification for the chambers based on availability and capabilities. So cases can vary a lot,
Yeah.
and their availability can vary a lot too. So we have to be checking every case we have. We call and check one by one because they might be down for a maintenance. They might be understaffed because someone
Maybe-
left last week.
Yeah, there's no one to operate it.
Yeah, it's very variable, it's very fluid, and we try to control this to help divers, not just members, divers.
Divers,
We
period.
do this for every diver.
It's very cool.
It's part of our mission,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
historically, we have probably half and half number of divers. There are members calling us for emergencies and non-members calling us for emergencies.
Okay.
Fortunately, most of them turn into members later on
Yeah.
because it's to support the mission, it's to
Right.
keep us going for everyone,
Yeah.
right? But it's historically we serve divers and members and non-members alike. We're all divers.
Very cool. If somebody has health insurance,
Mm-hmm.
is that, like, if they have something that would cover dive accidents, is that good enough?
It depends, right? So it's
always
it's
it
the
depends,
easiest.
yeah.
It's the easiest answer. What happens with primary health insurance is that most of them, and that's why came the need for us to create the product, right? We were the first to create this diving accident insurance in the market because of this lack of coverage from the primaries, from the original health insurances
Right.
that people may or may not have. So when they have coverage, they are usually limited. Most of them still to this day doesn't cover diving accidents because they consider adventure sport or risky
Extreme,
activity,
yeah.
extreme sports, so they don't cover. If they cover, they are very limited, for instance, to 18 meters.
Oh.
So we often dive more than 18 meters, right? The biggest thing is most and almost all of them will not cover you when you are abroad. So this is where we kick in because we will cover you no limits on the dive you're doing, and you'll be covered globally. So this is the big difference. What happens, and this is something that happens in one of my departments, the claims department, maybe too technical, but it's what it's called subrogations. So subrogations is we pay up front as the diving insurance, and if your primary care insurance, so we expedite things, right? Because your primary care insurance may take weeks to approve a treatment that you need to do in the next 12 hours or so. So we go ahead and we pay up front, we then pay up front, and then if your insurance covers it, we go for your insurance and say, oh, you know what, you have to repay us.
Okay.
But this is something that we do. Of course, we ask the members authorization to liaise with their primary insurance in their name, and we try to recover this money for us because, again, we're a nonprofit and we have to keep the mission going, right? So if they cover, usually they repay us back, but it's something that is always a gamble. We never know. Sometimes they take 2-3 years to pay us back. Sometimes they
That doesn't surprise me.
They pay just 20% of what we paid originally 3 years later. So
So really it's about like understanding the fine print of your insurance, knowing the limitations of that, and deciding and finding out if it's going to cover you when you're anywhere else. It probably is just going to be for when you're diving locally in the United States.
Yes.
Okay.
If they cover.
Yeah. And one thing that was mentioned, I think, off camera, it's coverage is around the world, but there are some limitations to, I can't remember the wording that you guys used, like places like North Korea and...
Oh, of course.
Right? So...
Yeah, we'll have issues to cover you in Ukraine or in Gaza today, right? So we always depend, as any other travel insurance or any other traveler products, right? We have limitations on where we can operate because there's no resources. There's absolutely no resources because of the geopolitical situation, right? So maybe I won't be able to find a hyperbaric chamber in Ukraine right now because they are under attack, or in Gaza, or so of course war zones and all this natural disasters.
Is Cuba included in that?
Yes,
so
it is.
Certain places where we just don't have the relation, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
So like geopolitical issues, wars going on, that's obvious, but also like
and natural disasters, right?
Yeah.
So if we have a tsunami or pandemic again or anything like that will hinder everyone's ability to do anything, we'll be on that too. We'll be on the same boat, right? If I have the airspace closed, I cannot get you out of there.
Right.
I can try to find a ground ambulance, and we did one of those.
Okay.
We were having trouble with air ambulance, and we found a ground ambulance 6.5 hours to the chamber.
Okay.
If we decided to wait for the airplane, it would probably take 12.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was something that we normally would do with our airplane, but this is the niceness of what we do in assistance, right? We're always waiting these resources that we have available, and deciding the best course of action, the one that will take the diver to the chamber faster.
Right.
So
Cool.
it's nice, and it's a very rewarding work because we do things that we had recently. One of our divers that we assisted coming to us and saying, "Oh, you know what? It's impressive what you did. I want to write an article for you for Alert Diver." So in the
Yeah.
next issues, we're going to see a
cool.
very graphic images of a shark bite to the face. And he writes. He's a writer, and he decided to write for us. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, that's going to be something
it's
to
amazing.
look out for.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
It's rewarding.
I feel like I have a clearer picture of things. I kind of had another question, but I think it's been sort of answered because I was thinking when I go diving, I don't know if, like, I don't have my friends' membership information or, like, if they have dive insurance. Like, I don't have that written down before we hop in the water, but it sounds like if anything happens, just call you guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no harm is going to come of calling you guys in.
No.
So-
And again, we're there for every diver.
Yeah.
We'll help, and we'll do the exact same service if you are a member or not.
Yeah.
The only difference is that if you are not a member, we cannot operate the air evacuation or pay for your treatment, right?
Right.
Of course. But we'll take you we'll put you in contact, not take you there,
Yeah.
but we'll put you in contact with the right hospital, with the right chamber, and we'll help you to the extent we can without having to pay for anything, right?
Yeah.
So if we have you as a member, we'll go ahead and we'll pay for the services to take you there or to receive you
Yeah.
there or to put a guarantee of payment for the chamber treatment. So this is the only difference. But we're there to serve every diver the same way.
No, I love this. This part was exceptionally long because the payment part is what terrifies all of us millennials and anyone younger, I think. So I really appreciate you taking the time and explaining all of this for those of us that just don't
thank
get
you.
it.
And I'm sorry, I'm kind of the Forrest Gump. I'm telling stories, right?
No, but that's what makes it interesting.
Yapping.
No, it's great. It's great. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
thank you.
And I think that wraps it up. I feel like I have a better grasp on what to do in an accident, how to use Dan Insurance, what I should have for different situations. So I hope you guys do too. If you still have questions, please leave them in the comments below because maybe I will know the answer because I've been talking to you guys, I've been hanging out for so long. But the more important thing is that I have the contacts to the people who actually know answers. So I will be able to get those for you. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, especially because this was a long one. If you got through the whole thing, you're probably a nerd like me, and you should join your fellow nerds over on Patreon. We've got a whole community over there. And if you want to go diving with me, check out my upcoming trips on my website. Okay, love you, bye. Need your little microphone right there. I try not to grab at people too, you know.
So,
I thought it was great.
okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I'm like, my brain is like,